Hi guys, today we are talking about the choice that only other people get to make. Ugh, what a bummer. Because wouldn't the world be a much better place if we could just make those decisions? Okay, the decision that we have to talk about today is the decision to be happy. Have you ever wished that you could make someone else happy? That's like the pleasant way to put it. Let's frame it the toxic way. Have you ever wished you could force someone to be happy? When we want to make someone happy, uh, I think there can be healthy expressions of this. When we're motivated by love for somebody and we're like, I'm going to do this thing because I hope that it makes them happy. Um, and there's like really deeply unhealthy expressions of this as well, right? Oh man, and I have seen so many unhealthy expressions of this, and hopefully a lot of those expressions will stop after today, because today we're internalizing the fact that every single person in this world gets to choose whether or not they're happy, and you do not get to force them to be happy. There's nothing that you can do to force your loved ones to be happy or your friends to be happy. And I know that there is a lot of self-harm in this world, right? There is a lot of people really are very deeply unhappy right now. And the numbers seem to be climbing. People are getting, uh, you know, I think there's kind of a divide. People are getting happier and happier, like when they hang out with me every day on YouTube, right? Uh, but there's a significant portion of the population that is getting sadder and sadder and more unhappy. And the thing is that even as happy people, we are surrounded by people who are not happy. And it can be really tempting to try and jump in and make them be happy. And the secret is that we can't. And the sooner that we learn that it's okay for you to be happy, even if your loved one is deeply unhappy, the sooner that your life is going to be a lot happier. I'm just going to tell you that. You don't owe your sad loved ones to be sad yourself. You don't owe it to them. Okay. I'm not sure that our creator is like really thrilled with it we when we try and force other people to feel the way that we want them to feel, when we get so obsessed with other people's feelings that it takes over our lives and messes with us. I have just gotten so many requests over the years from particularly parents of adult children who are in rehab or who need rehab. Can you just fix my kid? Can you just make my kid happy? No, I can't do that. And neither can you. And also, neither can even God. Your kid has to choose that. That has to be their choice. And if they don't want to choose that, that is their business. And I'm sorry. Like, it is really hard to watch someone really struggle, especially when their struggles take the form of serious self-harm. I truly know it is the worst thing to watch, and we can't change it. We can't force them to change. And the sooner we come to peace with that, the sooner a lot of things shift. Because so of course you're going to be happier as soon as you are willing to be happy, even when the people you love are sad. Quick pause to mention, of course, we need to mourn with those that mourn and comfort those that stand in need of comfort. I am a big believer in that, which is why I show up here every day, doing my best to like shine and be a light in this world, right? So I'm a big believer in that. I feel like in my personal life, I try to be there for people that are suffering. And I'm not sitting there with the toxic positivity, just cheer up, guys. You know, when people are suffering, they're truly suffering. And we get to hold space for that for them, and be present with them in their suffering. And at the same time, you can have an internal boundary that allows you to be present for other people's suffering and mourn with them and still be able to sleep that night. You would not believe the horror stories that I have been exposed to in the past 10 years in my field. I have heard the most horrific stories that you could possibly imagine, the kind of stuff that could keep you up for the rest of your life. Okay. And I can still sleep at night because of my boundaries. I can feel the emotions of these people that I work with, and I can hold their space for them and mourn with them and go through this emotional process with them. And on a spiritual level, I know that is not my stuff, and I don't have to carry that around. It is okay to be with someone and hold space for someone, and also maintain your own space at the same time. No one is saying we have to give up our own happiness and our own identity to be sad for other people. We are allowed to have both. We're allowed to have the best of both worlds. We are allowed to be deeply happy people in our hearts, and at the same time have the capacity to hold the space for enormous suffering, the enormous suffering of other people and the enormous suffering of ourselves when it calls for it. Man, I was I don't know. I feel like my childhood was not like a walk in the park, with my disabled brother. And I felt like I had a lot of suffering as his sister. And at the same time, I would hold a lot of space for my own suffering. I was a big journaler and I would journal every single day, which is why I think I turned out okay. Was just like healing my emotions through journaling, which is truly powerful. And if you can't afford to do any healing work, just journal every day. Just write 3 pages every single day of whatever comes into your mind. And in 3 months, you are going to come back to me and you're going to say, Allie, thank you for telling me to journal every single day for 3 months. My life is different. You don't judge what you write. You just get there and write. It's going to change your life. But that's what I did all day long, every day. At school, I would do my assignments and then journal for the whole rest of the class, for all my classes through all of high school. And I feel like it kept me normal. But even though I had this big suffering in my life, I still was pretty happy. And I remember I had a friend who was always suicidal. She was in and out of the mental hospital for suicide attempts and all this kind of stuff. She was a big mess. And we both went and met our third friend's mom. And we were both so happy. And she's like, wow, suicide friend seems so happy. Allie's happiness looks so fake. And I just thought that was so funny to me, of how like people are not always great judges of other people's happiness, and what is legit and what is not legit, but it is possible to hold space for great suffering and also maintain a positive attitude. And we get to do both. We do get to do both. Today, I wanted us to tap on something that I think is really important. So let's just go ahead and tap. Here's the tapping script. I know that everyone's happiness is a choice only they can make. I know that everyone's happiness is a choice only they can make. I cannot force anyone to be happy. I cannot force anyone to be happy. I honor the reality that everyone is best off when they learn to listen to their own inner voice. And what their inner voice says might be different than what my inner voice says. Go ahead and put your hands on your heart and breathe it in. Now, the other thing I was going to mention from before is that the magical thing about truly becoming okay with other people, doing their life the way that they want to do their life, is that a lot of times, especially in family relationships, when a mother is like so intent on controlling her children, just be happy by doing what I think you should do to be happy. When moms let go of that and just say, okay, I'm going to be happy with my child. I'm going to just love my child where they are and not try to control them and not judge them and not judge what they are choosing to do or not do. I'm just going to love them. A lot of times the behaviors that were so upsetting kind of stop, because a lot of times when people are having, destructive behaviors, it's in response to people trying to control them, which makes a lot of sense. We have this biological instinct that drives us to not be controlled. When we feel controlled, we act out and we rebel. And these days, when almost anything goes, I'm thinking about like in the olden days, it might be quite a rebellion to, hem your skirt above the ankle, and like that's like not really a rebellion now. Like now, if you want to be rebellious, you got to be like pretty rebellious, right? When you stop trying to control, when you stop trying to force people to bend to your will for them, a lot of times they no longer feel the need to rebel. And all of a sudden, all the problems are solved. So I'm not going to say like that's going to happen for you, but it might happen for you. So I'm really interested to hear. You'll have to come and update me in Intuitive Healing with Allie Doucette on Facebook, my little Facebook group. So fun. But today, the big take-home message for you, I want you to be thinking about, where have you tried to force other people to be happy? Even if you didn't make them do it, where in your heart were you wishing you could force people to be happy? Releasing that from your heart and becoming truly at peace with allowing other people to seek happiness in whatever way they decide, even if you strongly disagree with it. That is where the power is. And before I wrap up this session, I know people will ask about kids. Because what about your 8-year-old? What about your 5-year-old? What about your 10-year-old? Am I saying that you should just let your 10-year-old jump off a cliff if he feels like it because he's a 10-year-old? I do not believe that. I do believe that, of course, brain development and toxic exposure and all this kind of thing, like all these things play a big role in people's behaviors and everything as well. If it's your own child, here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that you should just give your little children free reign to do whatever they want, because people should just listen to their own inner voice. You are the parent, okay? That is what I really feel, is that you are qualified to ask our Creator for divine revelation on how to handle your minor children's situations, and even how to handle it with your adult children. For me, I am a big fan of allowing adult children to adult. That is my personal feeling. But children are children and they are not adults. And so things are different in the context of younger children. And you are qualified to take those questions to our Creator and get personalized, custom revelation just for you and your family on how to handle your self-harming child, your child with really big negative thoughts. You tune in, you go ask our Creator what to do it with a pen and paper. This is so important. Write down the impressions that come to you in prayer. If you don't write it down, if you're not ready for the answers to come, how can you expect to get answers? So write down what comes to you. Even if it sounds crazy, you're just going to write it down without judgment and read it back to yourself later. I think you're going to see a big difference. Now, today we're doing a live session. So the link for that is in the Boundaries class. So go sign up for that if you want to be in on the live session. It's going to be really fun. So the time and everything is located in that session. Thank you guys for being here. I just hope that you have the best day.